I would love to have been a fly on the wall at the drug-fueled idea orgy of a meeting that birthed the concept of Gori, Cuddly Carnage. It's a game I consistently struggle to describe to people as merely saying you play as a hoverboarding cat who kills a lot of zombie unicorns slightly illustrates the point, but also fails to capture the perverse pleasure of being able to cleave a unicorn in half at the waist with your hoverboard, or bash its body to a bloody pulp using its own ripped-off head. Hell, maybe the pitch was just, let's make a spiritual successor to Blink's the Time Sweeper where he is thoroughly out of fucks to give. It might honestly make more sense. In reality, Gori is something like an unhinged, mutilated bastard child of Conker's Bad Fur Day, Devil May Cry, Ratchet & Clank, Ghost Runner, and Doom Eternal, mashing so many ideas into one fucked up monstrosity of a combat-heavy platformer that you'd think it would collapse under the weight of its own blood-soaked fur. But oh my god, is this fun to play.
20%.
And I'd be thrilled to tell you why as soon as I mention that if you like our content and want to support us further, please consider liking and subscribing, checking out our Patreon, and joining us for indie gaming live streams every Tuesday and Thursday, either here on YouTube or over on our Twitch channel. Your indie gaming community awaits. There is a plot in Gori Cuddly Carnage, something about a toy uprising being a catalyst for the apocalypse, I think. But between Gori's sentient, obscenity-shouting hoverboard, his clinically depressed spaceship AI, zombie unicorns everywhere, and the spider-legged Jack-in-the-Box teddy bear whose face looks like it's been violently ripped off, following the nuances of its narrative quickly felt like a losing battle. I will say this much though, comedy is not so much Gori's strong suit. Humor is subjective for sure, but the jokes in Gori Cuddly Carnage are very Borderlands-like. In its defense, that comparison lands at a lot closer to Borderlands 2 than Borderlands 3, which is just to say that about a quarter of its jokes actually land, as opposed to having the entire state of affairs be a depressing level of butthole puckering cringe from beginning to end. Not the most colossal of compliments, but Borderlands fans know exactly what I mean and are probably somewhat relieved.
Breach. There's definitely a breach. My insides are falling out.
For those who know less what I'm talking about, just expect a lot of F-bombs or uses of the word bitch seemingly designed to be funny in and of themselves, and jokes along the lines of Gori's hoverboard suspecting that he got a sexually transmitted infection from an RC car. It's unabashedly dirty and immature, often leaving any form of wittiness waiting at the door, and how much that lands will strongly depend on you and what you like. That said, I'd be a liar if I didn't admit to laughing out loud at a line like, "We came here to chew ass and kick bubblegum, and we're all out of ass." That one caught me off guard. What had me most maniacally cackling like someone in need of serious therapy, though, was Gori's combat, which is easily the star of the show and every singular ounce as satisfying as it looks in the game's footage. Gori's combat system seemingly takes most of its cues from character action games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, albeit with a gore-soaked emphasis on making each attack a satisfyingly vicious ballet of flying dismembered unicorn limbs. I would not come in expecting the mechanical complexity of either of these games though, because Gori's approach is firmly in the camp of style over substance, albeit not lagging too hard on the latter front. There's a slash attack that allows Gori to use his hoverboard as a twirling baton of death, a bash attack that swings around a heavy, brutal flail, and the two can be used in combination to create a small variety of simple combos. Then there's the helicopter, a special slash attack that spins Gori faster and faster, smoothly and painstakingly animated every frame of the way, and feels more satisfying than making a snow angel in a pile of bubble wrap. And the slam wheel, a heavy flail attack that flings enemies into the air to add a little verticality to your bloodshed. There's even the bizarre but oddly appropriate inclusion of the ability to turn your hoverboard into an impromptu rocket launcher, slowing time around you as you fire off a rocket in midair. Just in case it's unclear how I feel about these things, let me clearly say that Gori feels goddamn awesome to play. The combat feels incredibly good, a guilty pleasure and stress-relieving power fantasy rolled into a singular package. That's on its standard house cat difficulty though, which I'd argue is almost trivially easy most of the time. And given the game's proclivity to be more flashy and satisfying than nuanced or mechanically ambitious, easy kinda works for it, but while it was hard not to fall in love with the combat early on just for how punchy and crunchy it is, Gori's moveset is ultimately fairly limited and doesn't evolve at all once you've gotten all his basic tools. Accordingly, my excitement for its flashy violence peaked just a little too soon, a feeling I'll call premature attaculation because I have nothing resembling shame. Those looking for a sterner challenge with higher stakes can always up the difficulty level, but I found that doing so made enemy swarms feel a little prolonged and made its relatively simplistic combat a more prominent issue, making difficulty feel like a pick your poison sort of decision. I think a more interesting upgrade system could have done some heavy lifting here, as the current skill progression does little more than increase the efficacy of your basic moves. Upgrading your slash attack, for example, doesn't evolve it to do anything new, it just dishes out more damage and that's about it. Equally simplistic is the game's platforming, with the extremely generous chaining of a double jump and dash and snap to grind rail ability so helpful that very few obstacles posed any amount of challenge. There is something inexplicably satisfying about hover wall riding off billboards though, even if I never broke a sweat doing it. Less simplistic, thankfully, is its level and enemy design, which frequently introduce new ideas and foes to keep you on your toes. You'll fight in arenas full of disembodied hands shooting lasers from their eyes that look like they got lost on the set of Pan's Labyrinth, seemingly every mutilated variety of unicorn that a child could possibly have nightmares about, and decapitated doll heads that squeal like children and drop their brains like an instantly pubescent nutsack when stunned. Certain enemy types also have unique requirements to dispatch them, like bashing a button on top of their bodies or launching a rocket to stun them before zooming in for the kill. The variety of ways you brutally murder your foes, often as part of some grotesque limb-detaching finisher moves, as well as twists in level design like the underwater level that genuinely doesn't suck, thankfully kept the game engaging even when some repetition started to set in. Enormous credit must be given to Gori's presentation too, because this is a game that looks consistently awesome, and its developers definitely know it given their inclusion of a photo mode. I had a blast launching my helicopter move into a group of unicorns only to pause and screenshot the resulting brightly colored massacre. And as a testament to the stunning animation work on display here, as hard as I tried, I struggled to take any screenshot that didn't at least look kind of cool. The faces Gori makes as he dishes out punishment are a special highlight because this is one badass cat animated with an enormous amount of love and a little bit of pure sadism. Good mix if you ask me. Environments throughout the game are also plenty diverse and packed with interesting and usually disturbing details, making each one of the game's 8 levels, which take roughly an hour each, a damn good time to traverse through. And to top it off, solid ultrawide support, a steady 60 frames per second on Steam Deck with settings turned to medium, and a wide variety of adorable unlockable skins and outfits for those into customizing their kill-happy kitty. I did experience some frame rate drops, especially when entering new areas, both on the deck and my desktop PC, but these weren't too distracting and usually didn't happen during any important moments. While Gori's voice acting and soundtrack didn't make quite as strong an impression, they're both very solid and perfectly fitting for this plush, cutesy nightmare. While not every aspect of Gori Cuddly Carnage is a total slam dunk, a majority of what's here is a tremendous achievement in blending multiple genres and influences into one hell of a fucked up potpourri. It prioritizes a fantastic visual presentation and immensely satisfying core combat mechanics over intricate platforming and mechanical depth, but has a level of confidence in its core concept and design that you can't help but love, as long as you're willing to let a lot of unicorns die in the process. As many of you know, we don't love distilling a game to a number here at iDream Indie Games, so rate games using bronze, silver, and golden genie lamps of approval, signifying games that are good, great, and absolutely essential. And Gori Cuddly Carnage may not be for everyone, but those who can stomach its batshit shenanigans are gonna have a great time. Gori earns our silver genie lamp of approval.